Welcome back, Syndicate members. It is I, Joshua Mammoth. Saddle up, because on today's episode we have a special guest in studio, or as I like to call it, the Fortress of Joshitude. I'm thrilled to be interviewing the creative force behind the gritty and captivating world of Exodus Z. That's right, Exodus Z from our top 5 episode. Check it out if you haven't seen it yet. The one and only comic artist, John Epple. How are you doing today, John?
How's it going, everybody?
Thank you so much for joining me today. So wow, you look pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Altamont.
Oh,
not too far.
Yeah, that's awesome. Your work on Exodus Z, when I bought this book, we bought it at Charlie's, and on the ride home, after Paulo and I did our little spiel, I had to dive into this book immediately because I loved the cover so much. Could you tell me what was the initial spark that actually got this work going?
It wasn't your typical zombie story. So I've lost track of how many horror movies I've watched at this point. So, but what I liked about it is that, I get to draw gnarly-looking zombies doing zombie things. And but this one is, we found a way to bring them into heaven. I already have an inappropriate sense of humor, so just that subject matter right there was just right up my alley. I'm like, really? I mean, we're not taking after like one particular religion or another, because we're out to have fun, but we're not trying to piss off the Pope or anybody like that. We're not trying to offend anybody, but we are poking fun at a bunch of people.
Well, I will have to say, after reading it, how they get into heaven, though, is actually very interesting. So it's not like they just, oh, hey, how the hell did these zombies get here? It's actually very, very good reason how they got there. And I really enjoyed that part of the book. As the artist on the book, what are your challenges of adapting the script? Because from what I understand, George wrote the script, mm-hmm. and then you're the artist on the book.
Yep. He let me add my 2 cents enough that I became, I guess, co-creator. He would say, hey, I want this character to look like this, or this character to look like this, or this is what I was thinking for that scene. If I had any questions, he was always quick to respond. And if I had an idea I thought was better, he at least heard me out before he either approved it or just shot it down. So he's a good, comics are a collaborative process. He understands that, so he and I work pretty well together because of that.
It definitely had a very good flow to it, and it did seem like everyone involved in that did obviously work together very well because the end result was so amazing. Can you walk me through like your creative process? Like, for example, like how do you approach like the character design?
I had a good idea of what George wanted when we got started, and then like I said, he lets me add my 2 cents in. He gave me a general outlook of like what the 2 main characters were going to look like, the man and woman at the beginning of the story. He's like, I want the man to be dressed like this, and then the woman to be dressed like that. So if I had anything I wanted to put a Tampa Bay shirt on one of them, he let me do stuff like that, or he let me decide like the kind of like the hairstyle, or he just let me add my own touches to it.
Okay, so I'm glad you said that because I noticed a couple of things in the background. The Beetlejuice guys, who was that?
That was all me.
I was like, that's awesome.
he didn't say no when I should. Normally, with every customer, I'll show them the thumbnails once they approve that. Then I transfer it to the Bristol board. Once you approve the pencils, then I do like the final rendering just to make sure. Once you approve that, then I ink it, and then after I ink it, it's too late to do anything about it.
I want to say I may have saw a cosplay Vegeta in there somewhere too.
I can't admit anything. But I did. There are Easter eggs all throughout the book, and we have even more in issue 2 because I have friends that are in the industry who let us dress their characters up as cosplayers. Because George and I aren't popular enough to do crossovers yet. So I explained it to anybody I knew as we were thinking of dressing your character up as a cosplayer. That way I can do a likeness, but I don't have to get exactly perfect on if there was dozens of characters, background characters, and everything else. I just wanted to get a close approximation on what the character looked like, and most of them said yes. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is awesome. Now, this is a question that I'm sure you get a lot, but I'm always interested to know: are there any artists or comics that influenced your work? What are a couple of like your main artists that you say that you grew up with that you like?
I'm on a big '90s kick lately. So whenever I go to a comic book store, I'm almost exclusively back issues and indie books now. So I know a lot of what I've been buying has been '90s themed books that I thought looked awesome, but never found as a kid. Now that I am finding them, then that tends to be what I'm looking at more.
Because I actually find myself looking at all exclusively indie now. And then, of course, I fill in a lot of my back issues of the stuff that I've been collecting for a long time, like Green Lantern. So, what do you find are the biggest rewards about being an indie comic artist?
Getting paid is nice.
Getting paid is nice.
No, I mean, without sounding crass, yes, it is great getting paid to do something you love. I think after my first project, I did the concept work for a book called Mary Machine Gun by Atrocity Press. I was deployed at the time, so when I got home, I used the money from that and I helped buy my dream car.
Wow, that's awesome.
So for me, that was, it's like I looked at it as I have a shot to do something I've always wanted to do. I took my shot and I got it. So after that, that's kind of what sealed the deal for me. Like, maybe I really can do this more than just as a hobby after all.
Definitely. Wait, what was your dream car?
1993 Fox Body Mustang.
Wow, is that what's out in the driveway?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
It's not for everybody, but it makes me happy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I've even had Chevy guys give me compliments on it.
How long have you had that?
7 years, I think.
Ah, okay. So, are there any genres or types of stories that you're particularly interested in getting into in the future, or is it pretty much just who's going to come with a check willing to pay you for it?
I am kind of a mercenary like that. Apparently, I have a knack for drawing. I can't say effed up, messed up zombies. So that's something I'm always good at. But I do have a '90s team book that I'm working on as well on my own to show that I can draw more than just effed up zombie horror. I mean, apparently that's what I'm good at, and I won't turn the paycheck away. But I don't want to be pigeonholed into people thinking I can only do one thing.
Well, for sure the zombies were epic, but I gotta say too, like your landscaping buildings were really good too. Like I enjoyed looking at. In fact, so George actually sent me the PDF copy as well, so I didn't have to mess my good copy up, the one that you signed, and I was able to like zoom in and see some of this stuff. Yeah, and the detail work is so nice. The perspective work is so good. So yeah, I would say that the zombie is just the icing on the cake as far as the work is concerned.
I spent a lot of time in Tampa. I was stationed there for a while. So anybody that is from that area might recognize some of the backgrounds that are in for the ones that take place on Earth.
Interesting. Okay. So for our syndicate members in Tampa out there, Jason, why don't you take a look at that for me? So how do you stay or how do you overcome like motivational or artistic blocks?
Right now I'm working on 2 separate books. And then I still have that '90s book I was telling you about. So I have a tendency to bounce between projects. Say I'm waiting for George to respond on a page that I sent him, or a question or something that I'll bounce to either the other book I was paid to do, since they take priority over my projects, or I'll just say screw it and take some time and work on my own thing. Somehow bouncing between the different projects helps me so far avoid burnout.
And so you kind of like keep refreshed by working on something new all the time.
Well, because how do I describe it? Both of the books that I'm working on are zombie related. George's is more fantasy because we have angels and stuff. And then there was I want to say, James Woods movie called Vampires that came out, I want to say the 90s. The main character from my other book called Flesh Eaters is kind of like a zombie approach to that, where we have the main character that is working for a religious order and he's called upon to take out evil.
Well, yeah, I love that movie. Yeah. So
it's called Vampires.
Yeah, it's called Vampires. That's a John Carpenter flick.
That's what I was looking for. That.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I do love that approach to it.
I've got a couple of those pages in my portfolio as well.
All right, well, we'll definitely show those up there. Mark that for me. I always wondered this too, because how do you balance like your personal life with also accomplishing all the tasks, getting these pages done for these clients? Because like you said before the show started, like you have some stuff that clients have already paid for.
Mm-hmm. Well, normally I've been doing this for, I want to say, like 7 years or so. To avoid people taking advantage of me, I get at least half of what the price we agreed on up front. That way it shows me you're serious about the project. And then along the way, I'll show you, I work in stages. Like I mentioned earlier, where once you approve the thumbnails and I move on to the pencils, once you approve that, then I move on to the inking and so forth. That way it shows the customer that I'm serious about what you've given me money for, and things get done in a timely fashion. You see regular progress, and then because I don't know how many times I can open up Facebook or whatever, and I'll see somebody is complaining that the client or has burned them or ghosted them or something. So it's just I don't even get mad anymore if somebody doesn't want to do that. It's understandable. I'm still a fairly new person in the industry, but just so for my own well-being, because I have a family to help support as well.
Definitely.
I get at least half up front. So far, that's where, and I've even gone to where most of my clients will go, say, 4 or 5 pages at a time. Because not everybody has, say, $4,000 to drop all at once on a artist that they don't know anything about. So normally I do, like I said, 4 or 5 pages at a time. That way it shows the client I'm willing to work with them, and then they get the progress. And as soon as we get each stage done, we move on to the next stage. And before you know it, I've gotten paid. They've gotten a product, and so far it's worked pretty well for me.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, I like the concept of showing stuff along the way, and then they're paying along the way. That definitely works out. This is a good one too. When it comes to criticism, how does that play a role in your creative process, and how do you handle that? Do you get a lot of criticism?
Not yet, but at the same time, I don't know. I spent a lot of time in the military, so tact is not one of my qualities. So the way I look at it, if you're not my wife, who feeds me and does stuff that I like, you don't matter. If you're not my mom who feeds me, your opinion doesn't matter. If you don't feed me or pay me like my boss or a client, your opinion doesn't matter to me. Your opinion doesn't have a direct effect on me. So why should I care? If we agree, great, that's fine. If you have something intelligent to say, I don't have to like it. But if some people are just jerks just because they can be behind their keyboard.
Oh, I completely agree with that.
But it's unrealistic to expect everyone to agree with everything you say. But as long as you have something intelligent to say, there's a good chance I'll listen. Can't guarantee I'll do anything about it, but at least I'll take the time to listen.
Yeah, and I don't agree with just bashing something just for the general sake of bashing something. Honestly, I like talking about independent comics because it's just kind of a passion of mine. I enjoy meeting the people involved in it. And I kind of got involved in it just because I make comics on the side myself, and I just kind of wanted to see who else was doing this, and kind of meet these people. And so far, in fact, we know a lot of the same people too, which was kind of interesting. So I definitely don't criticize anyone's work, although I will ask, for example, Enzo. I've taken my work to him a few times and asked him to kind of look through it, just give me his overall opinion of it, because I do value his opinion about stuff. But he's never once, tore me up. But
Yeah, he's a nice guy. Well, I've done the same thing, and I've done it where I've shown people. I've noticed that whether it's online or in real life, most of the people that just tear something apart are people that can't do it themselves.
that's a fair point. Yeah, that's
But
definitely a fair point.
I've come to the conclusion that you could show your portfolio to say 10 different people. While they may have some of the similarities with what they criticize, you're still going to have potentially 10 different opinions. So I would recommend anyone looking to get their portfolios reviewed, look at someone that you want to learn from, not just the first person you see. Because that way you can kind of guide where you're taking your artwork and what, say, one direction rather than potentially 10 different directions because you ask, say, Joe Quesada or somebody that works for DC, they're going to say, "Oh yeah, this looks good, but do this different." And so I've noticed that a lot of the cons in Central Florida, there's a lot of pros that live here.
Hmm.
I've shown my work to a lot of them, and they've gotten to the point where a few of them might recognize me as coming into the cons. So I learned pretty quick that everyone's going to have a different thing to say about your art. So I try to guide mine that, hey, I want to learn from, say, Kyle Holtz, or I want to learn from this inker over here because I like how they do that, instead of just random people that you come across.
Yeah, that's actually a great advice. Yeah, because you can actually focus specifically on what you're trying to learn. Definitely. Um, so when you're actually okay, so you get these scripts in, and you're drawing the pages based off of these scripts. So beyond just the storytelling of these scripts, what else are you hoping that these readers will take away from your comics?
Entertainment. That's comics are for me. Comics are about escapism and entertainment. A big reason why I don't like a lot of mainstream books now. If people do like them, good for you. All that matters is that you read comics. But one thing that I don't like about a lot of the mainstream stuff now, they're always trying to tie in what they see in the news or what's happening. Not necessarily real life stuff. It's more clickbait that, oh, what's popular right now, and then they put that in the comics as well. I can't tell you how many times I open up a social media app and I'm bombarded with just, well, crap, pretty much.
Hmm.
And trying to think how to, like, whatever the cool sexual identity of the week is, that's what they're putting into the comics, and little more effort than, oh, that's just how it is now.
It doesn't even need to really be that way either, because those concepts really have already been tackled in
Oh yeah.
comics. So you can go back to even, for example, Kyle Rayner's assistant who was gay.
Or was it the dude from Alpha Flight in the '90s?
Definitely.
I can't remember his name right now.
Or dang, even back in the '70s, Green Arrows and
Alcohol problem,
yeah,
drugs.
yeah, the heroin issue,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, a lot of those issues have already been tackled.
A lot of those, though, they put actual effort into storytelling,
I
characterization.
agree.
I'm not saying they're all like this, but it seems like a lot of what I've seen is very little effort to develop the character. It's okay to have characters of all nationalities, creeds, preferences, whatever. None of that matters because what I love about comics is that there's something out there for everybody.
Hmm.
What I don't like is what I keep seeing is that all it is, oh, hey, this sexual preference is really hot right now, so now we're going to make this character do that. And there's little to no development that would lead the character to go take their life in that direction.
And from what I understand, those comics, generally speaking, don't sell very well anyway.
That's what I'm understanding. I look at it as most people are a sexual being of one sort or another. I mean, you have asexual people who don't care one way or the other. But outside of that, most people are sexually interested. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
You can say, hey, Bob is gay now, or whatever the case is. That's fine. There's more to a character than that one aspect of their personality.
That's just one small aspect of a whole person.
I'm more interested in what world-ending plot did the hero narrowly avoid to defeat evil.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Because at the end of the day, that's what you're reading for, is the overall story.
I'm trying, comics have always been, well, reading comics is about escapism. I understand life sucks sometimes, so I don't need to be reminded of that all the time in the comics I read too.
And plus, it's fair to say there's a lot of effed up stories in independent comics too.
Oh, definitely.
Because I got a lot of them, a lot of the horror ones. Those are some pretty mind-twisting stories.
Yeah, that's also what I liked about them. Is that
for sure.
I'm not going to say one's better than the other, but just for me, it seems like the mainstream books. I got tired of being reminded that books I grew up reading are no longer for me anymore. And
that's fair to say, for
a
sure.
lot of the house styles that I've seen, while they may have the technical points that comic books need, perspective, shading, line work, and all that, the artwork themselves, to me, they look so similar. It's like they're almost sterile because there's no individual style. Like how I mentioned earlier that Joe Quesada, I would be excited. I didn't care what book he drew because I have a tendency to follow artists more than titles.
Mm-hmm.
That way I can expose myself to a broader variety of comic books.
Well, I remember going in the comic shop in the 90s, and, you have all of these different artists, everywhere, and then every book looked so different, but yet that was all Marvel, that was all DC, it was all Image, but they all looked very, very different. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you're right. Now you go in there, and they all do kind of have a very similar look.
If people like mainstream comics, good for you. Just please enjoy them. It's just I just got tired of them not being for me anymore, because I couldn't tell you. Like, I was always a big fan of Fantastic Four. I couldn't tell you what's going on anymore just because of how the company's being run.
I'm trying to think of the last mainstream I've read, but I think maybe Star Wars a few years back.
I can't remember Best Health either, because it's usually, since I follow artists more than titles, if I see one that catches my eye, but most of the time, I'm almost exclusively back issues and indie books now.
Yeah, definitely indie books for sure. So this was actually one that I really wanted to ask you about. What's one thing that you wish you knew when you first started out that you know now?
That's a good one. I don't know. Sometimes you just need to go through stuff to learn from the mistakes. I mean, I'm sure there's something, but I can't think of a specific thing right now.
Have you ever gotten stiffed on an order? Like, have you ever done the art up front and then gotten stiffed on it?
Smaller stuff, and no big stories or anything like that, but individual commissions and stuff like that, where they wanted me to do a pinup of something. Nothing huge, but I spent a long time seeing what other people were doing before I jumped in head first and decided to do it. So I tried to learn from other people's mistakes before I made too many of my own.
That actually is a good idea. I tend to jump in head first and
me too.
Yeah, just kind of learn along the way. So actually, yeah, that's good. I'm actually happy to know that, because sometimes you have to make lots and lots of mistakes before you finally discover a very efficient way to do it. So actually, we already talked about the current state of the indie scene. What do you think are some of the opportunities though that indie artists can find in the indie scene right now?
Depending on how they handle themselves, I think there's a lot of opportunity online. Because I spent a long time trying to figure out how to get in where I fit in. But you can find your following online, and you say, hey, I wanna do a book like who this guy is doing, or I wanna emulate a book like what this guy's doing. I particularly don't care if you're Comicsgate, you do the Rip-A-Verse or whatever. There are comic books out there for just about everybody. So I would say take your time to figure out where you fit in, and then get in with that crowd and find good people that will help push you to improve, and then help you get your name out there. And in turn, do the same for other people.
I like that. Yeah. For sure, you have to surround yourself with people that are going to motivate you and help you. The people that are telling you that it can't be done, those are the people that you really just need to just let go of.
That's one reason why I have so many exes. No, I had one. She was an artist herself, and she had done gallery stuff. I guess she would do pinups, and I want to say she did vector art, and it was attractive. And she had a gallery in Savannah, but it was like she wouldn't support me trying to do comic books. And I understand there's a realistic side that you have to accept being an artist, but you're just like, yeah, there's just one reason why. Well, I guess I'll find somebody else then.
You know, when other artists, not comic artists, but when other artists, you know, they snob at comic book artists, I tell them that, you know, stories through, you know, pictures through sequential art is the oldest form of storytelling. So F you.
Pretty much, right here. Well, I mean, it's not for everybody.
It's not, but you shouldn't turn your nose up at it.
Yeah, it's a legitimate art form.
It is.
Because you not only have to tell a story, you have to tell a story effectively enough that people are interested to buy the book. You have to be able to draw a inside of a bedroom in one scene, and then the next scene you have to be able to draw a adequate car chase scene, or there's a fight scene on a roof, or some scene in space. I mean, granted, some artists are going to gravitate towards certain genres more than others, but one thing that I enjoy most about comic books or drawing them is the challenge from doing so, because it is such a versatile discipline. Anybody worth a shit that takes themselves seriously should challenge themselves to draw more than just one thing.
Well, for sure, a bedroom has to look like a bedroom.
Yes.
You know, if it's on top of a building, you have to have the things that are on top of a building. Yep. You got to have an air conditioner up there. You got to have a roof access up there.
Well, not only that, you have to be able to draw whatever the scene for that bedroom or rooftop is in whether it's a dynamic scene or it's an emotional scene. You have to be able to show that on top of the technical aspect of what physically would be in this environment.
Definitely. And that could just be one panel.
Yes.
And then the next panel is something completely. Maybe the guy's falling off the building.
Look at the cover. I look at a cover as that is what kind of sells the book. You know, granted, you could have somebody like Adam Hughes, and people will buy the book no matter what the title is, just because of who drew it. But at the very basic sense of it, the cover itself needs to be compelling enough to make you want to pick it up and buy it.
Definitely.
So you have to be able to tell a story, in that case, with just one image.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go over and over again on each page inside.
And sometimes you only get, you know, that big, like 3 inches of a box to explain that. So, looking ahead, what are some of your long-term goals for your artistic career?
World domination.
I hear you.
I'm a ginger. It's what we do. But no, eventually, I want to work on my own books as well, because my book I told you that I have as well is like a 90s teen book. So I was a big fan of Cyberforce and Extreme Studios. Wildcats to a point, Louis Portasio, all 90s books in general. I tried to bring nostalgia is a big component of that book. So I tried to show my love for that era in this. I think I did a pretty good job because that book is done. But no matter what, I try to do the very best I can, no matter what. I mean, if I can, I would rather be doing comic books full time because it is incredibly satisfying to earn a living doing something you love.
Definitely.
And, I bought my Mustang, and that's kind of what sealed the deal for me. Is that when I've always known that I wanted to draw comic books, but when I bought my car with money I made from helping to create comics, that was like, that's it. This is my time to shit or get off the pot kind of moment.
So, and wrapping up, I want to say this has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much for coming by. And for the syndicate members who are now eager to pick up a copy of Exodus Z and also eager to support your work, where can they get a hold of you at?
I am all over social media. I believe I sent you the links. I do have a few copies of issue 1 myself. I think I have a few of Phantasmagoria, which that was George's baby. He wanted to do an anthology book for kind of like those old EC Comics horror books from like 50s and 60s. So I did create a character that is like a female Crypt Keeper that I get to add my 2 cents to that. We have a Exodus Z 6-page story in there to get you by. It's like a filler story between issue 1 and issue 2. And then I have my t-shirts and stuff like that too, so you can contact me directly. I believe you have the website for Comics Unknown. I believe it's my name for Facebook. And then most of the other sites is Seclusion Studios. And
I'll have all of that stuff in the description.
Yep.
And Phantasmagoria, I believe that was like a graphic novel, right?
Yes, it was a. He wanted to do a anthology horror book, so he put the word out and he got people to respond, and he found people that took it seriously enough to actually follow through with what they said, and we've got I think a pretty decent collection of horror stories that you wouldn't necessarily think of right away. I know which one's my favorite.
That's actually on my priority list to read. So I have that. So that's on my priority list to read. So I wanted to also thank you for coming by presenting you with my publications. So I got you a copy of Cowboy Diplomacy, Dimensional Devastation #1, and Kung Fu Christmas Carol. So those are all my books.
Oh, very cool. Thank you.
So I hope you enjoy those.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah. They're a little silly, but they are a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's one thing that I enjoyed about Exodus Z. I said George is a good collaborator. He with all the horror movies that I've watched, inappropriate humor is just a part of what is a part of the genre. So he let me add my 2 cents in. So I've got some pretty messed up stuff in there, or creative ways to dispense with someone. But yeah, so that's why I say George and I talked about it, is that I added my input enough where I got to be a co-creator just by being a smartass, pretty much. I love it.
I love the book, and I'm definitely looking forward to issue 2.
Because I don't know if anybody's going to find all the Easter eggs, but there's stuff all throughout issue 1. I ended up killing off the entire creative team in issue 1 just to see if anybody would notice.
Well, I think George was in there, and I think he did end up falling to his death or something, right?
That was Edgar.
Oh, okay.
The colorist.
He fell to his death.
Unfortunately.
Because the people were falling to their fiery, fiery balls.
Oh yeah, that I even did one. I came across a picture of Bad Balls, and I used one as a face for a zombie. So he's doing a cannonball
I saw that one.
as he's
Yep.
he's just doing this crazy looking cannonball, and I'm like, that's gonna be awesome. And then I think on the next page, I showed one of them landing and how he just kind of what you see a watermelon do if you drop one from the roof.
That's so funny. I thought that looked like a mad ball. That is hilarious.
When I thought so, there's even a naked chick running around in the background on one of the pages. I can't remember which one right now, but it's nothing gratuitous. You know, I think it's just her butt.
Yeah.
But still, there's still a naked chick running around in a book.
I think it was
Just to
on
see-
Heaven's Bridge, though.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I did it just to see if anyone would notice. Well, I've always enjoyed those kind of books where you look, the artist did the character, and like, oh, that's awesome. But then I always looked at the backgrounds to see what they looked like as well. And so I've been doing that for years now, just to see if anybody would notice what's going on.
I'm definitely one of those people that notice, and because when I'm reviewing it, I have to scan the book in to get my overlays, and so I'll read the scan on the computer, and so I can zoom in, and you can really see a lot of the hidden Easter eggs in those books. It's awesome.
And as for issue 2, like I said, I talked to my friends that I interact with regularly, so they let me put their characters' likenesses in there. One of them is Nick Garber. I have Carissa Grant. Let me put one of her characters in there. And then we have Chris Graves. Let me do one of his characters from Light and Pain in there. Mark Bolton. Let me do one of his. Was a U.S. assassin. Is in there somewhere. There's one called Reaper Destroyer by Joe Sontag. His character is doing something really effed up, but most of the stuff's in the backgrounds, just to see if anybody would be like, "That's so effed up. What's going on?"
When is that book supposed to drop?
The Reaper Destroyer already has.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I've been talking to him for a few years, and I figured just for the heck of it, I would see if he would let me do his. And George and I had came up with a list of people that we'd asked so we can keep it straight. And then I just in reference of, character blah 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 is on page 12, and this is what they look like to make sure they got the colors and get the details right. But that was a fun little challenge.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to part 2. So I want to thank you so much for coming by. It's been amazing. Do you have anything else that you wanted to add?
I think so. I think that's about it.
All right, Syndicate members. Between the known and the unknown lies the mammoth. I'll see you next time.